A millionaire and a broke person can lose the exact same $2,000. One barely notices. The other gets set back 2 years. Same amount, same loss, completely different lives. And that gap, that invisible gap between those two people, has nothing to do with income, nothing to do with intelligence, nothing to do with how hard they work or how many podcasts they've listened to or how many budgeting apps they've downloaded and never opened again. It has to do with one number, not a million, not 500,000, not even 200,000. $100,000. That's it. That's the number. And I'm going to show you exactly what it does to a human being, and because it is not what you think. Meet Alex. Alex is 27, Columbus, Ohio. 58,000 a year, mom, which sounds okay until you do the math. After taxes, after 1,100 in rent, after the 387 car payment he never wanted, after student loan minimums, after groceries, Alex clears maybe $350 a month. Some months less. He has a roommate. He cooks most of his meals. He is doing the things. He has $2,200 in savings. Not because he's irresponsible, because every time he gets to 4,000, something resets him. The transmission, the medical bill, the month his roommate left and he covered full rent alone. 4 resets in 3 years. He is not closer to financial stability than when he started. He's just tired. Now meet Marcus. Marcus is also 27. Same city. He makes $41,000 a year. $17,000 less than Alex. Older car, paid off. He packs lunch. He has fewer subscriptions. He's not extreme about it. He goes out, he travels twice a year. But he's been consistent about one thing for 3 years. Marcus has $94,000 saved. Wait, the guy making less money has 40 times more in savings? Hold that, because the answer to how Marcus got there is going to reframe everything you think you know about building wealth in America. But first, I need to show you what's actually happening to Alex underneath the surface, at the level most financial content never reaches. There's a phenomenon called the Volatility Trap. Alex is living inside it and doesn't know it exists. Here's how it works. When you have almost no savings, you are not just broke. You are fragile. And fragile is a completely different problem than broke. Because fragile means every unexpected event doesn't just cost you money. It costs you more money than it costs people with a cushion. The financial system is structurally designed to extract maximum cost from people who can least afford it. Alex's car breaks. Repair is $2,200. He puts it on a credit card at 24% interest, makes minimum payments for 14 months. By the time it's paid off, it cost him $2,800, $600 extra. Not because he was careless, because he didn't have the cash. The system charged him a poverty fee, and that fee shows up everywhere. Security deposits he can't negotiate, insurance rates tied to credit scores, overdraft fees, the inability to buy in bulk, late fees when cash flow is tight. The less you have, the more expensive everything gets. Not by a little, systematically. But the volatility trap goes deeper than money. Princeton ran a study. Researchers found that financial scarcity, the constant low-grade stress of never having enough, reduces cognitive function the equivalent of losing 13 IQ points. Not metaphorically, measurably. The mental bandwidth consumed by financial anxiety leaves you genuinely less capable of planning, deciding, and thinking long-term. Alex isn't just running out of money every month. He is thinking worse because of it. He can't plan long-term because his brain is in permanent triage mode. He doesn't negotiate his salary because some part of him can't afford to risk losing the offer. He doesn't apply for better jobs because the uncertainty feels dangerous when you're 2 bad weeks from zero. He knows the theory. Index funds, compound interest, automate your savings. He's known it for years. But financial knowledge doesn't work when the stress of scarcity is eating the part of your brain that implements it. Alex is swimming through molasses while everyone tells him to just swim faster. Okay? Now here's where the story turns. Because Marcus, the guy making $41,000, did not get to $94,000 by being smarter than Alex. He didn't have a higher income. He didn't get a windfall. He made one decision 3 years ago that Alex hasn't made yet. He made the savings untouchable. Not an emergency fund. Not a backup account. Untouchable. Separate bank. Automated transfer. Never looked at it in his regular banking view. Treated it like it didn't exist. And when things hit, because things always hit, he absorbed them differently. He put the car on a card and paid it slowly. He found a cheaper apartment instead of raiding the account. He said no to a trip. He hated some of it, But he never reset. And that's the difference. Not income, not discipline as a personality trait. The structural decision to make the number unreachable, and even from himself. Alex heard this and felt two things simultaneously. Completely obvious in retrospect, and genuinely furious it took this long to understand. He opened a new account. Separate bank. Automated $650 a month. Told himself it was dead money. At 29, he had $41,000. At 30, he had $63,000. And then, at 31, with $83,000 saved, everything almost fell apart. His company did layoffs. Alex kept his job, but his hours got cut. Then 2 months later, his car needed $1,800 in repairs. Then his landlord raised rent by $280 a month. Three things. 2 months. It was the exact pattern that had reset him 4 times before. The exact sequence that had taken him from 4,000 back to 800, back to 0, back to tired. He checked his balance. 83,000. He transferred nothing. He put the car on a credit card. Again, hated it. He picked up freelance work for 6 weeks to cover the rent gap. It was stressful. It was genuinely hard. But when he checked his account after those 2 months, 79,000. He'd taken a hit, but he hadn't been reset. He was still in the game. He was still building. The disaster that would have sent 27-year-old Alex back to zero just cost him $4,000 in 6 weeks of uncomfortable work. And sitting there looking at 79,000, something happened that he didn't expect. He realized the trap had stopped working. Not because he was rich, because he was no longer fragile. Life had thrown the exact combination of punches that used to destroy him. And he was still standing, still building. The volatility trap requires you to be one event away from zero. At 79,000, he was nowhere near zero. The math of the trap had just quietly, permanently changed. By 32, he had 104,000. And what happened next is the part of this story I actually can't stop thinking about. Alex got a job offer, a role he would never have even applied for at 27. Higher stakes, more visibility, more risk. He applied anyway. He got the offer. Initial salary, $74,000. He countered at 85. The hiring manager paused and said, "That's a significant jump." Alex said, "I know, that's my number." Got 82. Not because he'd taken a negotiation course. Not because he'd gotten more impressive, because he could walk away. And both of them knew it. Nothing communicates leverage like genuinely not being desperate. And for the first time in his adult life, Alex wasn't. His old company found out he had an offer. They counter-offered. First time in 4 years they'd ever done that, because suddenly he was the kind of person who left, and that made him the kind of person worth keeping. Nothing about his skills had changed. Everything about his position had. This is the insight I keep coming back to. The thing Charlie Munger was actually saying when he called the first 100,000 a He wasn't talking about compound interest. He was talking about this. The psychological transformation. The way that having a genuine, unshakable base doesn't just improve your finances, it improves the way the world responds to you. Because here's the brutal structural truth underneath all of this. If you are always scared, you are always controllable. A scared employee doesn't quit a job that's slowly destroying them. A scared renter doesn't push back on an unfair lease. A scared borrower doesn't negotiate rates. Financial fear is not just uncomfortable. It is a mechanism of control. And there are entire industries whose business models depend on people staying exactly where Alex was at 27. Credit card companies, predatory lenders, employers who know you can't afford to leave, landlords who know you can't afford to lose the deposit. The volatility trap isn't a bug in the system. In a lot of ways, it's a feature. The first 100,000 is the exact number you need to opt out of it. Not because 100,000 is a magic number in some mathematical sense. Because 100,000 is approximately the amount of money that makes you unshakable by normal American life. Car breaks, medical bill, job loss, unexpected move. Bad month, 2 bad months. All of it absorbed. All of it handled. None of it capable of resetting you to zero. And when nothing can reset you, you stop playing defense. You start playing offense. That behavioral shift, not the compound interest, not the growing balance, that is the real return on the first 100,000. It changes what you apply for, what you negotiate, what you say yes to and what you say no to, what risks feel manageable, what fears lose their grip. It changes your behavior before it changes your wealth. Marcus understood this earlier than Alex, which is why Marcus at $41,000 a year beat Alex to financial stability. It was never about the income. It was about making the wall high enough that normal life couldn't knock it down. So here's what I want to leave you with. What is your number right now? Your actual real balance today. And when you look at it, what fear is attached to it? What decision are you avoiding? What job are you staying at? What conversation are you not having? What risk feels too dangerous? Because that gap between your number and 100,000, that's not just a savings goal. That's the exact size of the leverage someone else currently has over your life. The first 100,000 won't make you rich. $1 million makes you rich. 100,000 makes you dangerous. Because it's the point where fear stops working on you. And once fear stops working on you, the whole game changes.